Compassion literally means to suffer together. Emotion researchers at Berkeley College remind us that compassion is defined as the feelings that arise when we are confronted with people suffering and we feel compelled to alleviate that suffering. In today's world, we are quick to dismiss massive societal problems as that's just the way it is and impossible to solve. But compassion could be the answer. Compassion is an action that creates solutions and saves lives. Compassion is more than sympathy. It is when sympathy collides with the desire to eliminate the conditions that create harm and emotional turmoil. Could it be that humans are adverse to putting forth the effort that is required to solve massive societal ills because we simply lack compassion? Do we not have what it takes to care deeply and intensely about situations we don't have personal experience with? Situations that may not directly impact or hurt us? Compassion is powerful and has life-changing effects. It improves parent-child relationships, creates better learning outcomes in classrooms, increases job satisfaction and retention, and is associated with higher patient survival rates. Compassion also improves our own lives. It carries several physical health benefits, including normalizing blood pressure and expanding life expectancy. Compassion promotes the release of oxytocin, which is commonly referred to as the love hormone, and helps us reduce stress. It can increase our white blood cell count, which helps us fight off infection and disease, and it can even improve our cardiovascular health. So compassion is a vital component of any healthy lifestyle or healthy society. When we care about a thing, we have compassion for that thing. And when we don't care, it creates this mental block, and the excuse becomes that we cannot do anything or we don't have the ability to do stuff pertaining to improving that situation or that thing. But we can overcome these mental blocks. Let's take a look at an example of a societal problem that could be resolved with increased compassion. Let's take an experience that has been shared by every single human being on the planet, the fact that we were all born. Despite having the most well-resourced and well-funded healthcare system in the world, the United States has the worst birth outcomes and the highest maternal and infant mortality rates compared to similarly developed countries. The Centers for Disease Control reminds us that 84.2% of pregnancy-related deaths are preventable. So this is a tragedy that can largely be avoided altogether. We can do different things in order to get different results. Utilizing increased compassion in maternal health care could be the key to improving birth outcomes. Let's take a look at postpartum depression. The most commonly reported cause of pregnancy-related death are poor mental health conditions. This affirms that in boosting mental health can save lives. And so that is something that we all can do. We can help boost mental health outcomes by simply showing compassion. We can remind others that there are people out here who genuinely care about their survival and about their well-being. Unfortunately, postpartum depression is more common than you might expect. But we know that states who screen most heavily for depression after birth are better equipped to treat those conditions and experience lower rates of prolonged postpartum depression. So those states identified a problem, they found people suffering from that problem, and they implemented a plan to relieve and alleviate that suffering. That is compassion at work. When we take a deeper look into the postpartum period, we find that 2/3 of pregnancy-related death occur at the time after birth leading up to 1 year postpartum. So practicing compassionate interventions during this critical time is really important to save lives. Offering paid maternity leave, for example. Yes, paid maternity leave is directly linked to better postpartum health outcomes. Lack of access to paid maternity leave contributes to the fact that 1 in 4 American moms return to work within 2 weeks of giving birth. 2 weeks is simply not enough time to adjust to your new family dynamics, to bond with your baby, to initiate breastfeeding, or to even simply rest and recover from the childbirth experience. So it's no coincidence that the states with the best maternal health outcomes, like Massachusetts, have implemented evidence-based policies and strategies such as increasing access to paid maternity leave for their employees. Vermont, another state with some of the best birth outcomes in the U.S., has expanded Medicaid, which allows more people to have access to health insurance. The state also has enforced a set of compassionate health statutes, which include universal access to high-quality, medically necessary healthcare services. Interventions like making sure people have health insurance, like making sure people receive high-quality health care. Even practical things such as giving people help with transportation and getting to their doctor's appointments, or making sure healthcare information and communication is translated into several languages, or even offering childcare support displays compassion. And areas that implement those strategies see reduced maternal mortality rates and improve birth outcomes overall. So we can do this. We can replicate these improved outcomes. We can overcome the mental blocks that leave us feeling stuck and uninspired and unable to problem solve. Compassion inspires. Let us draw inspiration from countries who utilize compassionate care models. Norway, for example, has an average maternal mortality rate of 0%, the lowest in the world. They have a universal healthcare system that gives people free prenatal care at facilities that are close to their homes and well equipped with midwives. Access to midwives is very important because the midwifery model of care is holistic. It is rooted in psychosocial and cultural practices that combine knowledge and compassion to produce optimal results. Norway also has a very generous paid leave policy, allowing up to 86 weeks of paid parental leave for both parents, with at least 49 of those weeks being at 100% pay. And we know that money matters. So acknowledging the fact that money influences just about everything we do, we cannot ignore the role that money could play in resolving massive societal problems. We could be very intentional about reallocating financial resources to promote solutions. Allocating funds to community-led programs and initiatives, for example, could really help us improve birth outcomes and eliminate pregnancy-related death. Investing money directly into community members and community leaders who are most impacted by maternal health issues is bound to produce solutions that are rooted in compassion. And while we're speaking of money, let's consider the fact that the United States performs C-sections at a rate that is much higher than necessary. And this is influenced by higher payouts and higher reimbursement from health insurance companies for each C-section performed. Our C-section rates remain elevated despite knowing that unnecessary C-sections increase the risk of complication for both the baby and the person delivering. The more compassionate route would be to promote vaginal births, which are safer, encourage more body autonomy, and are more cost-effective. So let's imagine a compassionate society where higher payouts and reimbursements were given to facilities that produce natural, uncomplicated births with positive and healthy birth outcomes. What a great incentive that would be to keep people off of the surgery table and to have our providers determined to create positive, healthy births with minimal intervention. I wholeheartedly believe this reality is possible. There are so many people working around the clock to improve birth outcomes in our country, and I am so happy to be contributing to the efforts that a local nonprofit called Equity Before Birth is doing. We are administering compassionate care, and increasing pregnancy-related support services and resources, and we are seeing tremendous results and impacts. We are proving the possibilities. Remember that things are not as impossible as they seem, and we can eliminate massive societal problems such as ending pregnancy-related death. We can start with treating all people well and practicing compassion. So we can do this. Please be kind, be intentional about caring deeply about one another, be compassionate, and let's change the world. Thank you.